Hi, everyone. I'm Olivia Enos, a senior fellow here at Hudson Institute, and it is my joy to welcome those of you who are in person to the Hudson stage, and those who are joining online, thank you also for joining as well. I think many of us are aware of the fact that North Korea over the past several years has truly received short shrift. Even though North Korea has not been at the center of US foreign policy and US foreign policy efforts, the Kim regime has been extremely busy. They've been busy signing mutual defense treaties with US adversary Russia. They've been busy providing fuel and sanctions evasion support for Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. And they've been engaging in a myriad of efforts to evade US and international sanctions and to undermine global order. We know that. The Kim regime also has not stopped abusing its people. COVID-era restrictions resulted in an airtight seal at the North Korean border, one that was enforced through shoot-to-kill orders, an incredibly brutal decision. The time represented a moment where many North Koreans were not able to flee to freedom beyond North Korea's border, and an unprecedented stop in the number of North Koreans who were making it to freedom. It was already quite difficult pre-pandemic for many North Koreans to make it outside of North Korea, but it became even more difficult during that time period. And it wasn't just those who sought freedom beyond the border who were affected. Those who were left behind were cut off from incredibly critical lifelines, like access to information from the outside world, as well as an inability to operate as they had done previously in the informal market economy, which we know has often served as a critical lifeline for many inside the country. That the North Korean people continue to suffer is an absolutely indisputable fact. And while those of us joining on the panel may not have all of the answers to how to improve North Korean human rights issues, we are joined today by 3 North Koreans who successfully fled to freedom in most, if not all cases, I think prior to COVID, right?
Yeah, prior to COVID.
Yes. Nevertheless, they represent the next generation of North Korean refugees. And they, along with a delegation of more than 10 other North Koreans, are in town to reinvigorate conversations surrounding US policy toward North Korea. And I'm really, really grateful that you're here at Hudson, but I know that you've been all around DC over this past week and beyond. Before we hear from our esteemed panelists and colleagues, I would just like to say that even though the US government has honestly been behind the 8 ball when it comes to prioritizing North Korean human rights issues, we at Hudson Institute have not taken our foot off the gas. Earlier this year, I released a paper called "The US Needs to Issue an Atrocity Determination for North Korea" that calls on the US government to take a much more forward-leaning position when it comes to where North Korea should be. And actually, I have Dave Maxwell here is sitting in the audience, and even prior to this, participated with a group of experts in putting out a policy report that urges the US government to put North Korean human rights issues at the center of broader US efforts to address North Korea, which clearly poses a threat not only to our security, but also to the rights and global norms of the international community. My paper kind of made a unique case, returning to the Hudson paper, that many North Koreans we've already known since 2014 face ongoing crimes against humanity. But the paper was calling on the US government to investigate not just whether North Koreans continue to face crimes against humanity, but whether certain populations actually face ongoing genocide. And I found some very substantial evidence that North Korean Christians in particular may be facing ongoing genocide, and that is worthy of additional second look from the US government and from the international community. But the paper also laid out 5 different policy actions, because I don't want us to leave here today thinking, well, maybe the US government inaction means that there isn't things that we can be doing, and there absolutely is. I just want to lay out 5 very quickly, and then I promise we'll transition over to you all. First, obviously, I would love to see the US government issue an atrocity determination for North Korea, looking at both genocide and crimes against humanity. Second, the UN is about to update the Commission of Inquiry report that it put out in 2014. That will come out next September, so a little more than a year from now. And I think that that update should also examine whether genocide is occurring. Third, the US government needs to do a better job of improving information access in North Korea and amplifying the efforts that we have ongoing, but also strengthening those that need to be even deepened further. Four, it would be great to see Congress acting more aggressively, especially with the North Korean Human Rights Act. I believe it still is in need of reauthorization, and it has lapsed for several years now. And then fifth and finally, and I think this is my favorite one, to extend priority to refugee relief to North Koreans. We need more bright North Koreans to be here in the US, finding freedom and refuge here in addition to in South Korea. So I don't want anyone to leave here today, to leave our conversation thinking that there aren't things that the US government can do. These are just 5. But I know that throughout our conversation here, we're going to talk much more broadly about things not only the US government can do, but South Korea can also do to take sustained leadership on an issue that merits our daily and moment-by-moment attention. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our wonderful panelists that we have here. So first up, we're going to hear from Soan Lee, who is a North Korean escapee and human rights advocate. He should be a familiar face to many of us in Washington, but also in New York. He has an extensive background in international business and military affairs in North Korea, and has actually contributed to U.S. government and the policy community in Washington, D.C. as a very sought-after consultant specializing in North Korean affairs. Hyun-sung has held several positions, including as fellow at the Global Peace Foundation and in an advisory role at the Committee for Human Rights in North Korea. He has also had an illustrious career prior to defecting, and maybe you'll share, I don't know if you'll share a little bit more about that in your various comments. But in addition to all of that, he holds a bachelor's degree in international trade and economics from Dongbei University of Finance and Economics in China, and a master's in public administration from Columbia. Second, we have actually his sister, Soan Lee. So it's a family affair here. Soan originally came from Pyongyang, and she transitioned from a North Korean elite education to becoming a globally recognized human rights advocate. She was educated actually at Kim Il-sung, the prestigious Kim Il-sung University, and then also studied at Dongbei University of Economics and Finance. She has done a variety of different things, receiving from the South Korean Ministry of Unification a lot of support and also scholarships from the Bush Foundation. And she has engaged in a number of different forums, including at the United Nations Security Council. Soan also recently graduated from Columbia, congratulations, from their School of Public Affairs. And last, but certainly not least, we have Kumuk Kim. Kumuk is also from Pyongyang, and he was born in 1991, which, fun fact, we were born in the same year. He grew up as part of North Korea's elite class and attended Kim Il-sung University, just like Soan. Were you guys in the same class or no?
Unfortunately, I'm 1 year senior.
Oh, I see.
But we are same age, so now we are different.
That's great. So Kumuk was exposed to foreign media at a young age, and in middle school was detained and punished for distributing DVDs with South Korean and American media. He later had an opportunity to study in Beijing, where he met South Koreans and other foreigners and was able to learn about the outside world. He defected from Beijing to South Korea in 2012 and graduated politics and diplomacy at the prestigious Korea University. Currently, Kumuk is a TV news panelist, North Korean human rights activist, and a YouTube influencer. He also spoke at the UN Security Council in 2024. He has a number of other incredible accolades that I won't go into, but hopefully we will hear more about them during our panel. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Hyun.
Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction and wonderful job you had. Good morning. I'd like to extend thanks to Hudson Institute and Senior Fellow Olivia for inviting us to this wonderful discussion on future of the North Korean human rights. My name is Soan Lee. I'm a chair of North Korean Young Leaders Assembly. In October 2014, at the age of 29, I made a life-changing decision to escape North Korea. This was the first time in my life, and I had to make a decision that truly put my life on the line. Honestly, I never imagined I would have to make such a decision. I received elite education in North Korea, studying music, foreign language at Kumuk Academy and Pyongyang Foreign Language School, and achieving top honors, including the National July 15 Excellency Award. After school, I served in the North Korean military, including the time in Army Force Corps, and then Special Force Unit under the General State Department. Upon discharge, I became a member of the North Korean Workers' Party at the age of 20 and went on study at Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies. Later, I pursued economics at the Dongbei University of Finance and Economics in China. During my studies in China, I served as the chairman of Kim Il-sung Socialist Youth League in Dalian, China branch, guiding the political life for over 50 North Korean overseas students. Following this, I spent more than 3 years involving in North Korea and China trade, especially in shipping operations and the natural resources trade. However, I became increasingly disillusioned with the regime's lack of development and reform. Initially, I registered and rejected information I received on the internet, especially critical of North Korea and positive about South Korea and the United States. And I believe that it is the propaganda by South Korea and the United States. Over time, I realized the truth in this information and the falsehood in what I had learned in North Korea. The most shocking revelation was the brutal tyranny of North Korean dictator and horrific reality of my friends and acquaintances being sent to the political prison camp without knowing their crimes. The public executions by anti-craft machine guns ordered by Kim Jong-un from late 2013 left people horrified. The continuous executions and purges over the next year led my family and me to decide to leave North Korea, a place devoid of basic respect of life, freedom, hope, and human rights. Settling in the United States in 2016, I have engaged in a number of activities to improve the freedom and human rights of North Koreans, promote peaceful unification of the Korean Peninsula. I have participated in multiple information campaign projects for information freedom in North Korea, assisting in rescuing North Korean escapees, and served as an advisor on the US government and congressional policy towards North Korea. Recently, I established North Korean Young Leaders Assembly for the unification of Korea and have been running programs to foster involvement and the leadership of young leaders in US policy towards North Korea for the past 2 years. Additionally, I recently graduated with a master's degree in global leadership from Columbia, reaffirming my commitment to form a new leadership for North Korea and achieving a free and unified Korea. Today, I'd like to take this opportunity to discuss the recent challenges facing human rights in North Korea and the endless desire for information among its people. As you might have seen news, about 20 days ago, the North Korean regime heartbreakingly executed 30 middle school students aged 13 to 14 for watching South Korean dramas sent by USB drivers by defectors through balloons. Because of this, some people believe that defectors' campaign to bring information into North Korea are putting people at risk. However, there are critical facts to consider. In the 1990s, before South Korean drama began entering North Korea, people smuggled and watched Hollywood movies. I was one of them. Even then, many people were punished for it. Around 2004, about 200 students from Pyongyang University of Foreign Studies and Kim Il-sung University, they were tortured and punished by the police for watching South Korean dramas and American movies. 3 of my close friends were sentenced to 6 months forced labor, and 2 of them were sent to the political prison camp with their family members. Thousands have been punished and suffered for decades due to accessing external information. Even without the current reactionary ideology and cultural rejection law, the North Korean regime has strictly controlled access to external information for decades. This control is the key for North Korean dictator to maintaining power. I believe Kim Jong-un is deliberately executing these students in the most terrifying manner to discourage the world from sending information to North Korea. Kim Jong-un regime and those people who are opposing the inflow of information are making a grave misjudgment. Imagine pointing a gun at a thirsty person in a desert and telling them not to drink water. They will eventually drink water. No one can ignore their thirst. Information is like water for North Koreans. Nothing can stop their thirst for truth. No matter how many executions occur, there is no way to stop North Koreans from seeking truth and information. So let's not panic over these executions. I want to be absolutely clear on this matter. Fear should not deter us from upholding and promoting human rights. Even if we stop sending information, North Koreans will find a way, smuggle, and consume it by themselves. Our focus should be exposing these atrocities by Kim Jong-un to the world and sending strong signal to prevent such horrors from happening again. We must continue to support the basic rights of North Korean people to freely receive information. Stopping our efforts means we owe a debt to the students and the people, countless others who have suffered. Another challenge we face is skepticism surrounding human rights pressure on the North Korean government. The Chinese government and some advocates of dialogue with North Korea worry about such pressure hampers dialogue and obstructs resolution of North Korean issue. Additionally, there are voices claiming that the human rights approach has failed. However, there are some crucial points they need to understand. Human rights never fail. They never get old. Human rights are the foundation of our past, present, and future. Regardless of what the future holds for North Korea, human rights will remain as a key element in achieving societal prosperity. Human rights in North Korea are not bargaining chip for negotiations with the regime. They are the inalienable fundamental rights of North Korean people. The Chinese government and the pro-North Korean advocates must recognize and respect this as their human and societal duty. Therefore, instead of condoning the North Korean regime's human rights abuses, they should educate the dictator on the importance of human rights and ensure that North Koreans can live dignified lives. We must make it clear that regime and the ruling elite that do not respect human rights have no place in modern society. I just conclude my remarks here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for just laying everything out there really clearly. And I think drawing attention to the regime's brutality, and in particular, I think, the killing of the middle school students for watching dramas. I just think it's incredible how potent access to outside information is, both for empowering the North Korean people, but also the extent to which the regime views that as a threat. I think the fact that the regime views access to information as a threat should actually embolden us in our efforts, both to educate North Koreans on how to access that information carefully and covertly, but it should cause us to redouble our
Yep.
commitments to promoting that information access. And so thank you for boldly speaking about that and sharing. I know that's very hard, especially when you know for you that, you know, those could be your friends, those could be family members, and are for many people in North Korea. So
They could be my cousin,
Yes.
friends, child. So I'm so heartbreaking of this brutal executions by the regime. And I mean, no one can imagine that, if somebody watches drama and execute it, it's nonsense.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I bet there are a ton of people in the audience here who have watched South Korean dramas. They're very popular here in the U.S., right? So it just, I think it does hit close to home when it's, accessing something that people are already familiar with, even here. There's a kind of cultural touchstone there. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Over to you, Soan.
Sure. And thank you so much for your warm, welcoming, and kind introduction of myself. And I want to say how special this moment is to me because I am here on the stage with very special people who share so many things in common. To speaking with Olivia first, we share like same date of birth, same year, same month, same day. And she's the first person I ever saw who has the exact same date of birth like me. So I found it very attaching to her.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was the first comment I made to Olivia like probably 2 or 3 years ago. Like
we're like sisters, twins from another mother.
Yeah, right.
And her English name is Olivia too.
Yes.
Oh,
actually,
I didn't realize that.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the term inyan in Korean language. Yeah, like you are meant to be met like together. I feel that way when it comes with Olivia. And as Olivia introduced, we are siblings, so we share blood. And I pretty much have very similar kind of education path with my brother. Same kindergarten, elementary, and middle and high school. Same university in China, and even the same master's degree at the Columbia. So when he told me, I got accepted to Columbia. So, are you serious? Do you want to also come with me? Come to Columbia and study with me again? But luckily, we are good siblings. We have good relationship. He is such a nice big brother to me. So I was really happy to being in the same place and studying with him and share what we learned from the same professors as well. And to speak in Kumuk, we also went to this the Pyongyang Foreign Language School from middle and high school, and then same college at Kim Il-sung University, and we actually were in the same kind of department. It is called Foreign Literature department, and his major was English, and my major was Chinese. So maybe that's why we are not quite close at the time, but now we are here and became good friends now. So since Olivia gave all of you very thorough kind of introduction of myself, what I'm gonna say is that I wanna also highlight 2 things that what I recognized from my education in America that is important to address. One of the things is the humanitarian aid, which I had very deep discussions during the one of the class at Columbia with a bunch of students, and we divided into 2 groups, one group supporting humanitarian aids and the other group opposing that ideas. And then all the valid kind of idea, the supporting that arguments were, convincing to me. I can easily convinced by both of those opinions, but because I experienced North Korean, the system itself, I still end up pick the opposing side, and I'm gonna give you that reason why. So, if that humanitarian aid can make the life of the North Korean people a little easier and save North Korean people, I mean, me and including all of my North Korean defector friends, I mean, they would be the most strong supporters of this policy. But we all know those humanitarian aids we send to North Korea do not directly go to the people, but rather go to the regime and then like serve for the regime's advantages. Kim Jong-un saved the money on the food and then used the money into developing nuclear and missile weapons. This is really tough number, like 4.5 billions. Being used for developing nuclear missile weapons and then purchasing the luxury goods for himself. And this amount is enough to save 26 million people, and still the money, like there are some of the money left over. So what I'm saying is that it is a good idea. I mean, we all have those compassions towards North Korean people, and I really appreciate your compassion and support. But we have to support them in the right way, right? So I would like to ask those policymakers or the people who are involved in humanitarian aid to be more cautious on the methodology in the process, and then also cautious on the the items they are sending into North Korea. So for example, the sanitary products for women, and if it comes to the food, I know it's gonna take a lot of efforts, but it's critical for them to deliver one by one to individuals, making sure that individual North Korean the publics receive those aids from the international society. We all know there's a high chance that North Korean regime came after and take away all of those aids we distributed. But there's a fundamental thing we can gain from this process. That thing is that it made North Korean people realize who are the responsible for having them in suffer. It is not U.S. who they are taught to be like a arch enemy. It is not the South Koreans. It is Kim Jong-un regime. And that's the key message we can deliver to North Korean people and bring the awareness of the general publics, and then input that idea why they are suffering over the past more than 75 years. So that is the one topic I wanted to address. And then another one is that I guess many of the experts watched the recently defected North Korean diplomats interviews, and then he brought up one comment that there is a prison under the basement of the North Korean embassy in China. And then past a couple of years through the kind of helping the North Korean people who are asking for escaping, my brother and I also heard that there is those kind of facilities in the basement of the embassies, and then they are being tortured over there and imprisoned during the COVID time. Here comes to another kind of ideas I want to share with the policymakers and experts, is that I want to ask international society collectively urge China, to permit the North Korean people who legally arrived in China and then ask for the asylum from there. The reason the Chinese government sent back to the North Korean people because they see the North Korean refugees as illegal border crossing. So, but in those people, for example, IT workers, and then those people came to the China with the legal visas, and so I think there is no valid reason for the Chinese government to send back to them to the North Korea. And then as the member of the state of the United Nations and then self-proclaimed adherent to the international human rights law, I think China should uphold its legal obligations by ensuring these individuals who legally come and then apply for the asylum can enjoy their rights to be free. So that is my major two topics that I wanted to all of us, even if we hold different ideas and opinions, sit down together and talk about this deeply. Yeah, if we are not quite convinced, please invite us. We have so many ideas and an experience to convince you. We didn't have enough space to sit all together, but we have really amazing young North Korean leaders sitting up there, two Fulbright recipients over there, also two Bush the scholarship from the Bush Center as well, and then someone who majored in media journalism, analyzing the propaganda of North Korea all the time. So you have all the resources. Please use us. Thank you.
I love that. That was really excellent. And I think, a lot of us in DC, we have our different camps on the humanitarian aid question. And I think it's so great for you to address those issues head on. And as you were talking about, whether to give humanitarian aid or not to North Korea, I was reminded of a story that I heard very early on in my career, because I was, just interested in doing something for North Korean human rights. And I think the first idea that comes to mind is, why not give aid, right? But I remember, I think it was either another North Korean refugee, or it may have been actually an aid worker themselves, who had reported that, I think it was UN or maybe World Food Program, they had gone door to door and delivered bags of rice specifically to individual families within like a North Korean village. And that night, the aid workers wanted to do their due diligence, and so they watched. I mean, the rice literally went from the aid workers' hand to the North Korean families. That night, individuals from the North Korean government came through and went door to door and took all of that rice back so that they could then go and redistribute it. So even careful administration of food aid can result in redistribution right back to the regime. And so I think that does offer a challenge, because as you said, Soan, there's different forms of like humanitarian aid that, for example, can't be redistributed, like maybe vaccines or direct medical care or things along those lines. And so thinking about being smart about the types of aid that the US or the international community is willing to fund and that cannot be redistributed is always like a very critical challenge. So I'm so glad you addressed that head on. And I think you did so from such a like winsome standpoint and personal standpoint. So that was really wonderful. Thank you. Over to our last speaker, Kumuk.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim. During listening Sohyun's introduction, I am so envy of you, because you has a very wonderful friends, like even like same year and same month and same day, right?
Yeah.
So please hands up who was born in 1991, December 1st. Don't be shy. Yeah, we can be friends. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, my name is Kumuk Kim. I was born in Pyongyang in 1991. First, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation to this wonderful place, speak here today. I hope that our discussion today will not just be another among many of our like forgotten tomorrow, but will serve as a meaningful occasion for all of us, especially for the international community, include the United States, to gain a deeper understanding of North Korea. So today I want to discuss what I believe is one of the most crucial aspects of addressing the North Korean issue, improving access to information for North Korean citizens. Drawing from my personal experience, I will explain why it is essential to introduce information into North Korea, and what type of information are most needed to inspire like change within country. I was born into a family classified as a part of elite, loyal elite in North Korea. My grandfather and father were both loyal to the regime, which allowed me to enjoy a relatively comfortable childhood. After graduating from Pyongyang Foreign Languages School, same school, in 2009, I entered Kim Il-sung University majoring English and International Relations. My dream at the time was to become one of the North Korea's best diplomat, following in the footsteps of my grandfather and father, serving the regime. To me, North Korea was a paradise on earth, and Juche ideology was an infallible guiding principle. However, in 2010, I had opportunity to study abroad in China, which changed my life totally. For the first time, I experienced freedom, albeit limited, and particularly under the watchful eyes of the North Korean authorities. The freedom I tasted, however small, was overwhelming compared to the complete absence of it that I had known before in North Korea. The most significant aspects of this newfound freedom was access to information. I experienced the internet for the first time and driven by an irresistible curiosity. I searched for Kim Jong-il on Google. Despite knowing the authorities' prohibitions, I quickly searched for information about North Korea. The internet was filled with all kinds of contents that North Korean students was not supposed to read and see, but my curiosity outweighed my fear of punishment. Through many articles and information, I realized that how deep I had been brainwashed. The North Korea I believe in no longer exists. Yeah, what was even more surprising was that my feelings of despair, betrayal, and anger were not unique to me. My fellows, who also from North Korean elite family, were experiencing similar confusion and realization that something was gravely wrong. Some initially refused to believe the truth because it was too overwhelming, but gradually, as they faced the harsh reality of North Korea, and they also felt anger, same anger with me, what are they see? We decided to what we could to change the reality in North Korea. We began reading books together and believing that the most crucial step to dreaming of a different world was to learn about the new system. Every Saturday, we gathered to read and engage in heated discussions. Without any caution, we studied concepts such as freedom, human rights, and democracy. Through our studies, we learned about South Korea's economic growth and democracy and gained insights into various aspects of South Korea society that we could have known before through watching only dramas and movies. Knowledge is power, and North Korean authorities block all access to information to suppress ideological dissent and enforce loyalty to the regime. Ensuring the right information for North Korean citizens is the first step towards freeing them from indoctrination and allowing them to live dignified lives. As the access to information improves, the North Korean dictatorship weakens. We need specific and diverse action plans. Particularly, we must develop strategy to ensure the right information for North Korean youth elite. Simply providing South Korean dramas, movies, and K-pop content has its limitations. University students in North Korea need knowledge about the outside world, not just entertainment. So we must disseminate knowledge about democracy and provide materials that highlight the contradictions and wrongdoings of North Korean system, as well as the international community's crucial views on North Korean human rights. This will help them realize the issues on their own. The most important thing for fostering North Korean university students as future force for democratization is helping them break free from indoctrination and explore a new world. The North Korean regime is currently most worried about ideological shift among young generation. Kim Jong-un fears that the youth sensitive to change will learn the truth from external information and rebel against his dictatorship. This is evidenced by the enactment of 3 major draconian laws since 2020, like 반동문화상 배교법, I don't know the English name. The regime is using public executions and unprecedentedly harsh sentences to intimidate the youth and cramp their desire for freedom. Such inhumane act by the North Korean regime must not succeed. If the North Korean youth's aspiration for a new world are extinguished by the regime operation, we will never be able to solve the North Korean issue. Now more than ever, we must increase the flow of information into North Korea. So the international community must take more proactive actions to improve human rights in North Korea and impose strong penalties on regime's violation. There should be widespread sanctions and press to compel the North Korean regime to abolish these very bad laws and based on strong support for North Korean youth. I'm going to emphasize again, knowledge is power. The right to information for North Korean citizens is the first step to solving all the issues related to North Korea. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really incredible. And I think being able to have your own personal story of how information so transformed your own thinking makes all of your arguments all that more powerful. But I especially like the point that you made about the need for diverse information in North Korea. I think oftentimes in the policymaking community or even in the NGO and advocacy community, we can get into debates over which information is better. And I actually just think having a variety of different types of information provided is really important. You can have the entertainment and the dramas and the K-pop, but you also need the educational content out there to make folks aware of what's going on beyond the 38th parallel. And then even beyond that, I know that there are a lot of groups that provide religious materials. I know there are groups that bring in Bibles or have Christian content that comes in, and that has its place as well. And so I just think it's so important that you have a variety of forms of information provided in a variety of different ways that it can be digested, because there's also often a debate over which way to bring information in is most effective. And I think the reality is that there are a lot of different groups doing a lot of different things, and it's almost better to have that variety. So I really appreciate your reflections on that. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. I want to add explanation what happened after Kim Hyuk left. So Kim Hyuk left in 2012, and after his escape, we all informed there was a student left Beijing, and soon after, several months later, one of Kim Hyuk's circle, a friend in Dandong, was actually executed, and 2 of them sent to the political prison camp with their families. So they were charged by North Korean regime that they received South Korean spy agency money and trying to covert the regime. So if Kim Hyuk at the time, he had not escaped, and he could be one of the he could be either purged or sent to the political prison camp. So I think he made a life decision and critical decision and saved his life to seek freedom. So
so grateful that you're here today, but also very sad for your friends too. So I am going to open it up to questions from the audience, but I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. Just a friendly reminder, I can be an aggressive moderator. If you don't ask a question, you don't identify who you are, I will say, wait, we got to stop. No long lectures or diatribes. So please prepare questions that you have for the panelists. But I wanted to ask just, and this can be very quick answers, but you guys talked about different policy recommendations and things that you would like to see. But what gives you hope for future generations of North Koreans like yourselves, but also even for those who are left behind? What gives you some hope for the future?
I just want to say just one sentence. I hope that they can, experience like what happened to us. I don't want them, experience the same fate when what we experienced in North Korea. Like no freedom, no the rights we supposed to be have. The regime and the people in North Korea, absolutely, they have rights to be free and to pursue their happiness.
Yeah.
So I hope that as soon as possible, we should conclude this regime and let people free. So I don't want my future generation to have such restrictions and isolation from the world.
To answer that, I will say this love. Love for your homeland and then love for your people. And then, I said this in another platform, but North Korea, give us all the challenges and adversities, and then also, forged us those etched us the disappointment and despair, but it also gifted us a priceless memories with the loved ones left behind. So you cannot really separate that, your connection into those fundamental things to your identity. So I would say it is love.
So we are now seeing the hope of the new generation in North Korea. So I'm gonna introduce about one of our fellows, Sung Hyuk-an. Please stand up. Yeah. So sorry. So he's from a very very northern part of North Korea, and then even 20 years ago, and he was not from elite family. He was just very ordinary family who are in just majority people in North Korea. But now he escaped and he found his freedom, and then now he studying at Syracuse and New York in the United States. So those kind of thing makes some hope into North Korean people, and because of his only the capability of studying, and then his action and his story can make his life very better and very different from when he was in North Korea. Those kind of thing and those kind of story, when we put those kind of story into North Korea, and when young generation and people in North Korea heard that news, they can change their mind. They can think okay, if we make some change in North Korea, or if we go to United States, or if we can go to South Korea, we can make our life better. That means hope, right? So please welcome in, please. And he's, to be honest, he's very, very intelligent, better than me. When I talk about something about international relation or some issues about Korean Peninsula, his view is very, very sensitive and very, very clever and smart. So I see the hope when we discuss about some issues. So
Next panel, we have to have you.
By the way, we have our young leaders in this, in this room. And
maybe if all of you could stand
yes,
up
of course.
so
Yes, of
other
course.
folks are aware
Yeah,
and
please
can
stand
be
up,
in
guys.
contact. Thank you for being here.
So what I want to emphasize is no matter who you're from, not from elite family or ordinary family, it doesn't matter in here, right? Yeah, we are the hope to North Korean people, but in North Korea, very very few university students can go to study abroad, and very few opportunities they can get because they are from elite family. But in South Korea and in the United States, nobody cares where you're from and what kind of family you are, right? So I will send this message into North Korea.
Yeah, as long as you're diligent, your hard work will pay off.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a message we can send into North Korean people.
I love that. So can we take some questions from the audience? Yeah, Kenji, wait for the microphone and just, if you can identify yourself.
My name is Kenji Sawai, Global Peace Foundation. I have a question. So sending information into North Korea is very important. Also, for international attention, how about the information from North Korea to outside? Of course, some RFA or some small media covered, but how some transaction from inside outside? So how encourage to do it? Do you have some idea?
Go ahead.
It's very hard to get some information, very new and very important information from North Korea, because North Korean government, North Korean authority block all the way to go. So, and if you send some information out North Korea, it will risk your life. So it's very difficult. But by the way, I think that's why we need to prepare, and that's why we need to say to North Korean government, do not you don't need to do like that, and then do not punishment people if they send some message outside world, because those kind of conception is very. I think the international community doesn't care about that. They only need some information from the NGO, but they don't give money. It's very important. So if someone in North Korea take his risk, we have to
compensate it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So it's very important.
Yeah.
Let me add something on that. So, as you all know, North Korea is the most isolated country, and there is no internet, there is no public communication with the international society. Only possible, the communication tool is controlled by the regime. Absolutely everything is controlled and monitored by the regime in communication system. So we are trying to increase sending information, but also we want to increase their capability to send information out of North Korea. So we are trying to, develop, innovative technology devices. So, for example, using USBs and using the SD card copiers and using the devices with signal, trying to avoid North Korean government's monitoring and control. So there are a number of efforts made by people who have passion on North Korean human rights. So there are a number of projects was going on, but people inside North Korea, they are afraid being caught to send information, but they still have passion to send their information to people outside North Korea. So they are risking their life to call in China, people in China, and then send documents to the friends in South Korea. So they want to share. They want the world to know that what's happening in North Korea. So we regularly receive North Korean documents. Obviously, we cannot share in public, but we received North Korean documents, and then we share this information with the analysts and the experts. So that's the critical arrangement between North Korean people and us. So both of us, people inside, people outside, we want to change this society through information campaign.
I love that. And Soan, you were also going to add something, I think, after.
They
Kumuk.
addressed all the ideas.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So
yes.
we need to create a smuggling way about the information in China, in the northern part of China, but it's very hard to create that because the government of China not allowed to do that. But we need some very, very specific strategy about
Right.
creating that. Yeah.
So like information campaign maybe. So as all of them mentioned, like isolate country itself, isolate different every single regions. So for example, like the core messages, like for example, those like inside policies, like from the high levels, there is no way like people in the northern part can get access to those informations. So what I'm trying to say, we can utilize those resources already outside of the country, like it could be diplomats or businessmen of the North Korean regime. We can utilize those resources, but what costs are this? Money. Money talks everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Money is the
need
problem.
in a big scale of information campaign.
Yeah.
But we have to also take care of their kind of like
Yes.
safety as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like in the U.S. context, there's so much concern over the lapse in the reauthorization of the North Korean Human Rights Act because it has grants like specifically within there that are supposed to fund information access efforts. But I think also the Otto Warmbier Act too includes like some specific provisions for information access, and so all of those for folks just wanting to get educated on kind of some of the tools that could be at the U.S. government disposal or more actively used are worth considering. And I know there's South Korean counterparts to that too. Dave, I see you have your hand up here. So,
Thank you for your tremendous insights and for sharing this with us. I just have one question. As an American, what do you want me and all my fellow Americans do to help you? You're going to bring about the change. I mean, you are inspiring, you're motivating. I can see that all of you are the change makers. How can we, as Americans or as South Koreans or the international community, what can we do to help you?
That's an incredible question, and I appreciate all your support and the U.S. government and South Korean people. And in South Korea, the South Korean government helped resettlement of North Korean escapees. It is incredibly well arranged. But I want to emphasize the change in North Korea should be made by North Koreans. No one can, help them or change North Korean society on behalf of us. So we should be ready for the change. We should be ready for the people's freedom. So we can be, the U.S. supports and the people's supports should be funneled to educating the young leadership and the people's, the talents and leadership talks for the change. So just, helping them and educate them, it takes time, but we want to be more leaders, young leaders who have passion for North Korea. So that's my advice.
And I would really appreciate that our voices can be heard more like widely because, for example, many of the unification, those kind of ideas, and then the genders are overly represent the willingness of the South Korean people. But we have to also listen to North Korean people. What do they think about reunification? What they really want, right? We do want unification, but there should be many different steps and then preparations. Has to be set up. So I would say many of the voices are ready now. Many English-speaking those people. So I would appreciate if we can have more of these kind of opportunities to discuss with the experts based in Washington, D.C. and New York. It could be providing us invaluable opportunities to also learning from those outstanding people. Thank you.
In my opinion, I have only two requests to the Society of the United States and also South Korea. So the first one is please make the human rights issues as the first priority of United States and South Korea. In my opinion, I consider North Korean issue is not the first issue in United States. Of course, Ukraine issue and Middle East issues, and there are so many issues upper than North Korean issue, especially in this government, Biden government. So, yeah, the government Biden say like strategic, what is that? Patience, but it means they didn't do nothing, right? So, I mean, like, okay, I can understand the first priority and the first interest of United States could be a Ukraine issue or could be a Middle East issue, but at the same time, we have the room to think about North Korean issue, and the United States has a great power to solve the problem, right? So I believe that. That means like, please think about North Korean issue, and especially the human rights issues in North Korea. If you make this issue as a priority of United States issues, we can make some change. We can make some real change in North Korea very soon. And the second, please do not disappoint about North Korean issue. Yeah, we already know in this room, like North Korean issue always happen in 30 years. Nuclear issues, human rights issues, and then like our first generation human rights activists, they are now like 60s and 70s, but as time goes, but North Korean issue doesn't solve anymore, not yet, like at all. That means like some people saying like, okay, I'm tired to talking about North Korean issue, and I'm tired like human rights issues in North Korea, whatever, they give up. So please do not disappoint about that. Some change will come very soon, or some change will come very late. But what we believe, what we trust is change is come. Change is coming. So, I mean, like, nobody say and nobody can argue North Korea will change in 5 years, in 10 years. Nobody knows. But we can make some change. We means young North Korean leaders who educate well in Western country, in freedom world, we can make some like significant change in 5 and in 10 years. So please trust us and please do not disappoint. That's it.
I love that. That is so great. 3 things before we go, because unfortunately we do have to conclude. I know there's more questions to be asked. 1, I hope that everyone leaves here today recognizing that, many of us talk with North Koreans or we hear North Korean stories and we stop only at the story of defection. We don't move into the policy analysis and the recommendations that many of you all have. And so I would just say that the onus is on so many of us in the policymaking community, whether this is in the halls of Congress, the executive branch, or here at other think tanks or other NGOs. Please provide a platform for North Korean people who have made the bold decision to escape and made the brave decision to speak out after leaving, to be able to come and to speak and to share their insights and their wisdom with us. There's clearly so much to learn, and we didn't even, an hour is not enough to learn all of those insights. So that's thing number 1. Number 2, there's lunch outside. Please grab lunch. I know everybody comes to a think tank event for a free lunch. There is free lunch. And then 3rd, please grab a copy of this paper. It is right over there. And if we run out for some reason, I'm happy to send it to you and to stay in touch. But to conclude, can you please join me in thanking our wonderful panelists?
Thank you.
Thank you.